Hey guys, in the previous video I showed you that long hair is easier to make fall into position because it's got some weight to it. But it still hasn't stopped this area here from just suddenly bouncing out here. And it seems like if I cut it short, it'll stick up like that. And if I leave it long, it'll just boof out from this point here where my hairpiece begins, straight out. So there have been hairpieces in the past where I've had it working, but this one doesn't seem to want to do that. So I'm going to try to cut out some of this chunk here in such a way that it might blend nicely or land better. Now every hairdresser I've ever been to is unable to do this. It's simply the way that the hairs come out of the hairpiece itself. It makes it just stick up, and so it's almost like there's nothing I can do except gel it down. But even so, I'm going to try now to at least alleviate it somewhat and maybe cut out some of this chunk right here. I'm going to spray water onto the hairpiece. I really want to try to keep some of that length at the front though. So I'll start at the back here with that back layer, which I usually call layer 1, and start by trimming some of that a bit shorter. By the way, I do recommend using scissors that don't have too much of a point and they're a little bit safe, because you're cutting on your fingers, your own fingers like that. You could easily cut your skin if your scissors are too sharp or pokey. So having a nice sort of like little toy scissors seems to work best when you're self-cutting. Otherwise you probably lacerate your fingers occasionally. Sometimes I do find that I've pinched my finger skin with the scissors, but I'm careful and I've never cut myself. But if they were too sharp and pokey, like professional hairdressing scissors, I can imagine that you might accidentally do that to yourself. So maybe it's better just to use these sort of paper scissors like I use, which work perfectly. The other thing is it doesn't hurt your fingers, and it's got a big enough hole so that when you're on that angle cutting your own hair, you can still, not the big ones, not where there's a big hole, it's like big paper scissors, that'd be too impractical, but these ones give you the fine control you need. The other thing I found that could work in this situation could be the thinning scissors that some people have recommended I buy. Probably really would be the best solution for this. So maybe I will go and invest in some thinning scissors in the future to make this problem go away. I think what thinning scissors do is just cut every 4th hair as you go through it. If I cut it too short, I won't be able to brush it back and let it hold, so I really do want to try to keep some length at the front. I don't know whether I should leave those long bits or not. It's a bit alternative. So I won't know until this dries exactly how well that's going to sit. This sort of bulky bit here is not from the hairpiece, that's my natural hair. So when I run my hand from the back to the front, there is a clear lump where the hairpiece begins. There have been times where that didn't happen. Probably based on the fact that the hairs were all going in towards the front directly, but I don't think this hairpiece is. I think this hairpiece has got some hair sort of throwing over that way from this point, which is what caused that bulky mess. So I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me wait for my hair to dry. And if I used a hair styling like a hair dryer, I think it would be a different technique completely, to just waking up like with nice non-buffed out hair. So I'm either gonna say goodbye and just trust, or just edit this together with what happens in a couple of hours when this dries. See how it goes. Okay, so it's had a little bit of time to dry. It's not completely dry, but you can see, I think, that the bulge is not there yet. I think I've solved it mostly by just cutting out those layers and just thinning them down a bit, so that it's, I guess it's like, if this hair wants to fall down but then this hair's in the way, it can't fall down, right? But if this hair's shorter and shorter and shorter, then they can also just domino lie on each other a bit. So as for this part here, I'm gonna have to do something about that. This is from having a skin cancer removed a couple of days ago. This is the Beardscape trimmer from Brio. So to get visibility around the back, I'm just gonna use a handheld mirror. It's very awkward. Now, for my next trick, I have to do it left-handed because I can't reach. I'm trying to keep you guys in shot while still being able to see my reflection, but you're right in the way of where my reflection needs to be. How's this I can't tell if that bald spot is unacceptable or not. So think it'll be drying with less boof now. Even without styling, hopefully, just waking up off the pillow, it should sit more flat like this. So that's where it is at the moment. I was just about to have a shower, but I'll wait for it to dry for the sake of this video. Okay, so my hair's dry now. So that chunk that was sticking out right here, I think I've reduced it as much as I can. So I guess you can't leave really long hair straight after a join like that. And I think even if this hair was longer, it would lie flat against my scalp, because natural hairs can lie flatter than hairpiece hairs because of the way the hairpiece hairs are tied in. There have been hairpieces I've had in the past. Every hairpiece is kind of hit and miss. You've got to work with it. If they're all coming, like I've said many times, in a rectangle and they're all flowing in one direction, I just cut them all out so that they're all facing the front, instead of having to cut them out of a dome to save money and time. Then it would be a much higher percentage of hair pieces that looked good. And potentially I will order custom pieces in the future. But I think I've solved it in this case. So